Hello everyone, Just Podcast TV is here. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified on new contents.
Episode 233, You Want Me. After hearing Kate's words, Zach couldn't help but raise his thumb. Our Kate is still the smartest. Tell me, how did you grow up? You are so beautiful. Your figure is so hot. And the key is that you have a good head on your shoulders. It really makes me want you more and more. Kate smiled sweetly. You can forget about it. With your words, you have fooled me for more than half a year. I am also stupid. However, you said that I have feelings for you every time. I am very happy in my heart. Zach asked, Do you still believe it now? Kate replied shyly, As long as it's something my husband says, I'll believe it. I'll always believe it. Regarding the matter of Sonny helping Campbell, Zach indeed had other thoughts. Not only did he not like Sonny, but he also wanted to treat Campbell as a hero and save the damsel in distress. He also wanted to let this city know who he was. When he was chatting with Larry, he had told him that the Dream Group had more and more connections and they needed a living business card. A living business card was the charm of a company's leader. While mentioning the company, one would think of this person. When mentioning this person, one would think of the company. This was a living business card. The Dream Group also needed such a name card, so Zach started to make this name card for himself. There were already so many people who had filmed videos in the bank today, so when it was uploaded to the internet, it would definitely create a certain effect and influence, which would cause others to be curious about him, to find out who he was, and to find out what the company behind him was. Of course, what others could find out was all deliberately released by Zach. As for what he did not want others to find out, no one would be able to find out. After work, Zach brought Kate to the dinner place that he had arranged with Campbell. Campbell specifically dressed up tonight. Her makeup was especially beautiful, but it did not lose out to the grand occasion. She felt that in front of important customers, it was better to show off enough charm. But when she saw Kate, who was only wearing a suit, she was defeated. Completely defeated. It was a complete mess. Whether it was her looks, figure, makeup, or temperament, she was lost. The only thing that could be taken out was her attire was grander than Kate's, but it was precisely because of this that she lost even more thoroughly. Kate only wore a suit when she was at work, but she had already tortured and killed her. If she were to wear formal clothing, then wouldn't she be instantly turned into slag on the spot? Campbell had a smile on her face as she ate. The taste in her heart was like chewing wax. It was quite unpleasant. Previously, she was still thinking about whether Zach really had a good impression of her. She was even thinking about how she should reject Zach's request tonight if it was too much. But now, she felt that she really wanted to be blind. Just by looking at Kate, she knew that if Kate was compared to one of the great beauties of the past, like Cleopatra of Egypt or Helen of Troy, Campbell could not even be considered to a palace maid and could not be compared at all, especially when she was wearing such a grand dress, as if a country bumpkin had just put on makeup to disguise herself. She had put on all of her makeup. After dinner, Zach thanked Campbell for her hospitality, and then he held Kate's hand, and they left. The existence of an outsider that she did not mind at all made Campbell feel envious. She was envious of why the woman standing beside Zach was not her. It was not because of Zach's money or anything else. It was just that she felt that a woman who could be held by a man's hand and loved by him at all times was really happy. This kind of feeling was clearly not unique to Campbell alone. Kate also had this kind of feeling. Being held and stopped by her own man in front of other women was in itself a form of affirmation and support for her. Even vaguely, Kate would treat this as a form of showing off. If not for her age and identity not allowing it, she really wanted to shout in front of everyone, "Look how good my husband is to me! My husband is the best man in the world!" On the way home from the hotel, Kate quietly asked, "Hubby, this woman is pretty. why don't you eat with her alone? You know, if something happens between you and her, I won't have any objections. Zach asked with a smile. Really? Kate thought for a while and nodded. Really? She really would not have any objections. It was just that she would feel a little uncomfortable in her heart. Zach put the hand that was originally pressed on the lever on her thigh. I know a beautiful woman when I see her. Do you really think that I am the ruler who can have 3 palaces, 3 courtyards, and 72 consorts? After Zach said that, Kate replied, No way! Zach gently rubbed Kate's thigh. Don't worry. I can't bear to bully you all the time. I'm already lucky enough to have you by my side. How can I take an inch and then bully you all the time? I can't bear to part with you. Kate's heart was very happy when she heard Zach's words. She felt very warm in her heart. When they returned home, Kate took her clothes and went to the bathroom to take a shower. Zach went to find Madison. Madison, it will be New Year's in a few days. Where are you celebrating the New Year? Zach really didn't know. Madison did not have any relatives at home. This was something that was usually ignored. Madison replied, They are to be here guarding the missus. There are no family members in the family, so now I am your and Kate's nanny. Of course, I am looking after the house for you. So that was how it was. After understanding Madison's situation, Zach invited her to go back for the new year. Initially, he thought that Madison would agree. After all, there was only one person. How could the new year be different? It would be lively when they went back. However, Madison rejected. She did not want to go to the island to celebrate the new year. Zach was curious. Why? It is very lively when everyone is together on the island. Madison shook her head. I'm not going. I have to stay at home and watch over this house for you. Zach roughly understood what Madison meant by guarding. She was worried that someone would come in and install a bug or do something that would hinder Zach and Kate's safety and privacy. However, Madison would not be so vigilant for no reason, right? When Zach asked this, Madison said, I'm not sure yet. I saw someone wandering downstairs this afternoon. His eyes were on our building. I don't know exactly which building he was looking at, but it was very likely that it was our house. Episode 234. A Great Honor. Zach frowned. He did not know if the person Madison was talking about was against him. If it was, who arranged it for him? There was no result. Madison could not catch that person, so naturally, there was no result. And the other party was just strolling downstairs, and Madison did not have any reason to catch him. So this matter could only be a doubt for the time being. In the end, Zach invited her again and again, and said that he could find someone to investigate the house after he came back, but Madison still refused. Seeing her firm attitude, Zach did not say anything else. Madison, I won't say anything else. If there's anything I can help you with, just say it, Madison said seductively. I think there is something you could help me with. Zach quickly waved his hand. About that, Madison, I have something else to do. I will go upstairs first. Madison smiled. She was naturally joking. She only treated Zach as if he was her younger brother. How could she have such thoughts? Besides, if she, Madison, had that kind of need, all she had to do was forcefully capture him. Until now, there was still no man that she had taken a fancy to. She had not succeeded yet. Back in the bedroom, Zach waited for Kate, who had returned after taking a shower. The two of them were slightly intimate, and then Zach told Kate about going home for the new year. Kate was originally quite happy, but when she heard about it, she hesitated. Hubby, why don't I not go? It's not appropriate for us to go for the new year without confirming our relationship. Zach understood what Kate meant. Kate was worried that his family was too big, and that his family background was too rich. She was not worthy of him. Moreover, she might be worried that not only was she not worthy of him, but she would also be looked down upon, and looked down upon by other people in the family. Hugging Kate in his arms, Zach comforted her. How is that possible? No way. With me around, no one can bully Kate. You are my woman. Besides, you have to understand my family and grandfather likes you very much. Under Zach's very comforting arms, especially the sentence, "You are my woman," it gave Kate a lot of courage. She understood that as long as she was by Zach's side, it would be enough. Other problems were not problems. So she nodded. Kate snuggled in Zach's arms, like a swallow returning to its nest. Only by Zach's side could she get the greatest warmth and the greatest sense of security. After December 25th, it would be especially close to the new year. The company was already on holiday. Before the holidays, Zach called Lance and his girlfriend Marie over. Lance did not understand why Zach called him over. He protested on the phone. "I want to go overseas with my girlfriend," Zach replied. "Oh, that is a good choice. I wish you a pleasant journey. All right, if you find out that your position as general manager is gone after you come back, remember not to look for me. You might have taken me overseas for a vacation, but I am not willing to come back." Lance protested seriously. "You are threatening me? It's the new year, and you won't lie about it. You are exploiting me." Zach thought for a while and seriously replied, "You are right." He admitted it. Indirect explanation. "I'm exploiting you. Don't come over if you dare." Did Lance have the ability? But he didn't dare to use it. He was really afraid that the general manager's throne would follow him on a vacation, and then the throne would stay outside and never come back. Thus, he could only accept the threat and angrily run over with his girlfriend Marie. It had to be said that Marie was a pretty little girl. She was very delicate and elegant. Lance was not the only one who was threatened by Zach. There was also Larry. Larry's bitter face looked even more bitter than if it had eaten a cucumber. "Director Marquez, I haven't seen my wife and children for almost half a year. Let me go back and spend a year with them. Do you know what my own son called me when I saw him last? He called me uncle." "Director Marquez, this is my biological son. Please, let us reunite." Zach replied, "Sure, ask them to fly over." Larry was speechless. He wanted to reunite, not this kind of reunion, but at home. But Zach did not allow it. "Either you bring them over for the new year, or you buy a one-way ticket back." The so-called one-way ticket naturally meant that there was no need to return. What was Larry up to? He wanted to tie his family to the super big tree, the Marquez family. If he did return now, then his biggest hope in his life would be destroyed. Therefore, he had no choice but to accept the coercion and bring his wife and children back. However, when he saw that Lewis did not have the chance to leave, he felt much better. "Director Lewis, you were also arrested by Director Marquez." When he opened the door and saw Lewis watching a TV series in his office, Larry felt a lot better. However, Lewis looked at him as if he was looking at a fool. "Do you really not understand, or are you pretending not to understand? You even want to catch a public servant. Zach wants to give you a year-end bonus. He usually looks smart, but why is he so silly now?" Lewis muttered to himself, then continued watching the television series. Larry was stunned. He was also anxious to go home. He did not think of this, because he was anxious. At this moment, Lewis broke the window paper. His mind instantly became clear, and his face was full of excitement. "Director Marquez, are you preparing for us to go back and celebrate the new year?" "Nonsense. Otherwise, he will ask you to bring his wife and children over during the new year. Is he bored?" After getting Lewis's confirmation, Larry became even more excited. A man in his 40s was still jumping up and down in the office like a child. He was even waving his fist and punching out of thin air to express the indescribable excitement in his heart. He had finally been recognized by Zach. This was the first time in Larry's life that he had stepped foot on the land of the Marquez family. Those who could step foot on the land were either rich or powerful. Even many super powerful figures were not qualified to step foot on that land. to say something that was very useless. Larry felt that stepping onto the land of the Marquez family was a great honor in itself. Episode 235, an eye-opener. After much consideration, Zach decided to give this glory to Kendrick. Hurry up and get the hell over here. Bring whoever you want. Kendrick was neither Larry nor Lance. He did not have the right to negotiate with Zach. If it were not for Zach remembering how Kendrick had tried to please him back then, and the fact that Kendrick's father was so devoted to Georgetown, Zach would not have been able to negotiate with Kendrick. He might not even have made this call. Therefore, the last phone call Kendrick received was the first one. He ran over with Tess. Boss, are you looking for me? Zach patted his shoulder. It's a good thing. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Just pack your things. Apart from Kendrick, Tess, Lance, Marie, and Lewis's entire family, Zach also brought Larry along. This fellow didn't even need to call him. He just eagerly went forward, claiming that he was single and wanted to freeload with Zach. Recently, Donovan had also helped him do some things, so Zach naturally allowed him to freeload on this meal. Thus, he brought Kate along, and a group of people headed to the airport in a grandiose manner on New Year's Eve. On New Year's Eve, at 6 o'clock in the morning, Zach brought people to the airport. Lance was very speechless. Director Marquez, where are you taking us? We're taking a plane today? You really have an idea. Zach replied, why don't you rent a tricycle? We'll take a plane, and you drive a tricycle there. Lance almost choked to death. He decided not to say anything. He could go wherever he wanted. Anyway, he had Marie to accompany him. There was no big difference. Donovan also got a bus from somewhere, and he was driving quite energetically. The bus stopped at the airport parking lot, and then Zach took everyone off of the bus and walked into the departure hall. Although it was New Year's Eve, there were still many people at the airport. There were hurried figures everywhere, rushing home to have a reunion dinner. Zach was no exception. But what was different from those people was that he could not even pass a security check. Donovan was still asking about the plane ticket. Donnie muttered to himself and forgot to put down his dagger. Lance also searched for the lighter outside. But then, they were surprised to find that Zach did not walk through the security channel at all. Instead, he walked through the special boarding channel. He just swiped his phone. Then, he brought them in. Donnie held his dagger in confusion and asked the security officer, Hey, can you send this to me? The security officer replied, Sir, you can take this to the plane. Donnie was surprised. He had been on many planes in many countries, and they were the strictest and the safest. But the problem was, no matter how fast it was, he wouldn't let anyone bring a dagger onto the plane, right? He thought that the security guard was joking with him. Zach directly pulled him in. What are you doing? If I told you to take it, you would take it. Why would I be afraid of you hijacking the plane? Donnie thought about it and said, That's right. I don't need a dagger to hijack the plane. It doesn't matter if I have it or not. Zach said angrily, What the hell are you talking about hijacking for? Do you know how to drive a plane if you hijacked it? After he dragged them in, Zach took a group of people to board the plane. This group of people was not used to this kind of airplane. It was completely different from the boarding process they had experienced before. There were no tickets, no security checks, no waiting, nothing at all. It was just like going to his own house. All he needed to do was open the door with the access card. It was just that straightforward. When they got to the top of the plane and saw the interior design of the luxurious plane, they were stunned to realize, What the fuck? You have a private plane at home? Zach nodded. Yes, but this time it's a medium-sized plane. This large airport won't be able to land any of the nicer ones. Everyone was speechless. Wasn't this just showing off his wealth? Wasn't that so? Not only did his family have private planes, but they also had at least 2 of them. Apart from Lewis, no one else knew how wealthy Zach's family was. Of course, even he had never taken a private plane from the Marquez family before. This time, he could be considered to have broadened his horizons by following Zach. Zach pointed at the red wine, food, cigarettes, and cigar on the plane and said, "Do as you wish." Everyone was extremely excited. Although Donnie knew Zach's family background was not bad, he only knew that it was not bad. He really didn't know what was so special about Zach. Now, he had truly witnessed it. Lance was also extremely envious. He only knew that Zach was rich and had a much higher level than him, but he had never imagined that Zach would shock him 3 times in a row today. He simply didn't dare to imagine it. Looking at everyone's surprised and envious expressions, Kate hugged Zach's arm even tighter. She excitedly whispered, "My man!" It was as if she was announcing her sovereignty, and she was especially pleased with herself. But then, she was a little worried. Zach's family background was so prominent. She really didn't even seem to be worthy of him. Zach saw through Kate's thoughts and said to her, "Mine is yours. If I am the king, then you are my queen." Kate's heart was especially happy, and that little bit of worry was completely swept away. "All right, I will be the queen for your entire life." It was said that comparing people to others was a death sentence, and comparing goods to throw away. At this moment, Lance felt that if he compared himself with Zach, he would not even have the qualifications to die. Finally, the plane landed in the afternoon. Looking at the endless sea scenery around them, and the fresh scenery around them, everyone was in a good mood. "So your family lives here? That's great. When you go out, you'll see the boundless sea." Tess could not help but sigh, but Lewis replied, "It turns out that your family lives here. It's really good. When you go out, it will be a vast and boundless sea." "His family does not live here. His family lives in the sea." Tess was slightly stunned and did not understand what Lewis meant. When the 2 heavy-duty helicopters flew over and landed on the square, everyone got on the helicopters and understood that Zach's family lives in the sea. Especially when they landed on the island, they were all stunned. Lewis explained, "This island, which covers an area of 200,000 square meters, is Zach's home." Everyone was stunned. They originally thought that it would be good enough to have a huge villa by the sea, but their imagination was really limited by poverty. Zach's home was actually an island, and all of it was his home. When they landed on the island, Lance and Donnie even discovered that there was a large assortment of naval defenses on the island.